Hi there. I wonder if it would surprise you to hear that prior to losing weight, there was a part of me that was terrified to lose weight, that was scared of what it would mean if I lost weight, who I would be, that I was living in a sort of a contradictory state, if you like, of on the one hand wanting to get a control of my food addiction, my eating habits, my health, but also fearful of moving out of the state that I was in. So I'd like to look a little bit at that today and wonder if any of you can relate to it. If you haven't been here before, my name's Ailsa, I'm 52, and over the last 2 years, I've radically changed my eating habits. I've cut out eating pretty much all processed foods. I follow a very sort of simple whole foods diet. I'm vegan, which I always have been. And over that period, I've lost around 7 stones, about 100 pounds. And I've managed to maintain that weight loss for the last sort of 8, 9 months. I've stayed fairly stable. And that's been fantastic. I couldn't be happier with that. But rewind 2 years ago to when I started this journey, I was in a very different place. So let's look at some of the big fears I had, and maybe you can relate to them. My first one was fear of regret, which sounds a little weird, doesn't it? But the only way I can put it is I knew that I had spent a lot of my life kind of quite unhappy with my weight, quite unhappy with the control food had over me, and pretty miserable a lot of the time. And there was a part of me that thought, if I change that, will I feel consumed with regret for all the time I wasted? And sometimes, especially if you're a little bit of the way I'm minded, the fear of upsetting yourself, the fear of knowing that you've messed up, that you could have done things better, can stop you from improving the future. And that sounds sort of a little bit ridiculous to me in the cold light of day, especially now that I have experienced the success of losing weight finally. But for a lot of my life, a lot of my adult life up to till I was 50, I've been a yo-yo dieter, struggled with food, and I was a bit scared, more than a bit scared, of looking back and thinking, God, Elsa, you wasted so much time. And so rather than be confronted with that regret, sometimes it was easier to stay stuck in the mud, as it were, stuck in that bad place. At least I knew where I was. I can see now that was a bit stupid, but I was in that place for a long time, and it took making big change, I think, to get out of that and to actually see, to prove to myself that I could move past that. My second big sort of fear was fear of failure. I'm sure so many of you can relate to this, that if you are someone who's struggled with your weight and you have yo-yoed up and down and up and down and followed a lot of diets, it can feel like everyone notices and everyone judges. And I always felt like every time I've lost weight, people notice, they often comment, and I felt a little bit like they would think, oh, here she goes again. Here she goes again. Inevitably, she'll fail. And almost I couldn't bear that. I'd rather be thought of, oh, look at Elsa, she's fat and happy on the outside, rather than, oh, look at Elsa, poor thing, struggling to lose the weight again, and then she's just going to pile it all back on. Because that had been me so many times. And, almost the fear of failure for myself, the thought of letting myself down again, trying so hard again and it not working. And sometimes that's exhausting, especially when you find yourself in midlife and you're still in that place where You know, I look back at being in my early 20s struggling with my weight, and here I was 50 and struggling with my weight. And I think, oh God, is it maybe time just to throw in the towel? But again, and as I'll try and sum up at the end, you know, I have learned that it has all been worthwhile. However late it came in my life, those achievements, no achievement really is too little too late. It can all benefit us, can't it? But it definitely halted me in my tracks many times, that fear of failure and judgment. The third big fear, and this really frightened me, and this really could hold me back, and it's a very practical issue, was the fear of having a lot of saggy skin. I would, you know, this terrified me because I knew that I would probably have loose skin. And I knew that I also couldn't really afford to address it through surgery. And I don't know that I would want to address it through surgery. As you know, I've watched my husband go through an awful lot of surgeries through ill health. And I sort of see what major surgery entails. And I just don't think it's something I want for me when it's not strictly necessary. Also, I think I was at a weight that has left me with saggy skin, but I wasn't at a weight that left me with sort of debilitatingly saggy skin. In, you know, when you see these people who are maybe 300, 400, 500 pound weight to start with, I, you know, thank goodness I wasn't in that category. But it used to hold me back because I think I can't bear it. I'd rather be big, I'd rather be overweight and know who I am, know that I don't particularly like the way that I look or feel, but at least I understand it, rather than, and this goes back to that fear of regret. I felt very much like, well, what if I strive to lose weight and then I get to that point where I've reached goal and I just look like a saggy mess? I'm going to feel so disappointed and almost like I looked better when I was just fat. I mean, that's what I would tell myself. And, you know, almost aside from the health benefits, of course, that one gets from losing weight and being at a healthier weight. What, you know, and it's still something I don't like. It's something that all the way through losing weight I worried about. And I think it's clear that you can only do so much to prevent and address loose skin outside of surgical intervention. You know, I always stay hydrated, I moisturize, you know, I'm exercising now, but I know that some people have said to me, well, if you build a bit of muscle, that fills you out. But obviously I don't want to fill myself out to the amount that I was, then I'd be back to being very overweight. So I've had a mixture of results with the skin. I've been quite lucky. I don't have as much as maybe I thought I would. But, and I think I might have mentioned this before, I've ended up with saggy skin in places that I wouldn't have thought. I did used to think years ago I would like a tummy tuck. But actually, some of the skin that I don't like is not even on my stomach. My stomach's not great. It's not great because that was my biggest area. But actually, I've got loose skin at the top of my thighs, top of my inner thigh. I've got a bit of loose skin here. This isn't too bad. I don't consider that too bad. It doesn't stop me wearing short sleeves. You know, I've got a bit of loose skin on, you know, my bust has dramatically reduced. So actually, and in weird places, like, you know, the front of here, like when I at a certain angle, like around my elbow, I'll have inside my elbow. I mean, and I've kind of come to the conclusion it is what it is. It is what it is. It's not that bad. The only people that see it are me and my husband or the doctor, because it's sort of mostly around my sort of very top of my thigh, my bottom, my stomach. It's not that bad. It's not drooping off me. It's just wobbly and a bit loose if I sort of, you know, lean forward. And I think I feel so much better. I'm so much healthier. I feel I look better. I feel I look better in my clothes. And, you know, I've got to let go of that perfectionism. I used to almost be like, unless I look perfect naked, there's no point. There's no point trying, Elsa. There's no point trying unless you're perfect. Well, actually, the ability to be healthy, feel good, feel like I can dress how I want, finally. I feel when I go out, I like the way I look in my clothes. I think I look nice. And as I say, I'm 52. Who is seeing me naked? Me, my husband, and the doctors, if I see a doctor. And actually, I've got to learn to love myself, and I have. My husband loves me, and the doctor, who cares what the doctor thinks, So it's weird, as I say, it's a combination of, I've been relatively lucky. It hasn't been as bad as I thought it would be, not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. It's been in places I didn't think it would be, so a tummy tuck would have been completely irrelevant anyway. And I see it now as a mark of how much I've achieved, and I also see that my, quite frankly, enormous stomach that I used to have was in no way preferable to the saggy tummy I have now, or the slightly saggy thigh top that I have now. Absolutely not. So I think it's inevitable. It might happen. It's going to happen. You can't be 7 stone heavier as I was. Take that off, and that skin snap back. And I don't think it even would if I was 20 years younger necessarily. It just depends. It just depends. So again, all those fears I thought were going to come true, that fear of regret, fear of failure, fear of looking worse than if I'd tried, are not true. They're not true. I've proved my stupid old beliefs wrong, which is great, really. I'm just consulting my notes that I made. Another fear was the fear of relapse, and this sort of came more as I was going through my journey of weight loss. Again, that fear of, well, not just failure, but what if I relapse? What if I get there and I just go back again? I mean, it's a natural fear. It's what I've always done. It's what's happened every other time. I've lost weight. I've lost a considerable amount of weight in the past and put it all back on again. And what I've learned is that we can't predict the future. We don't know what's going to come. But I do know certain things as truths, that this feels different. I've done it differently. I haven't followed a set diet plan or weighed, or I didn't even go into it really with weight loss, as I've said before, in mind. There was other things prioritized in my mind. I've maintained it. I've maintained it longer than I have ever maintained weight loss. It's been the most effortless weight loss journey I've ever had, and I'm aware that can sound a little smug, a little like, oh, it's been so easy. I mean, it hasn't. It's just been boring consistency that I've never stuck to before. I always been a little bit flighty with it. I'm just like, oh, up and down and up and down and up and down. So none of us knows what's going to happen. All I can say is relapse doesn't feel like something that I could possibly encounter at the moment. And I've also learned so much about myself and my eating habits and my triggers that I can see I think I could see now if things were changing, if my mindset was changing. But it just seems alien to me to go back to the way I used to be. So I think I've just got to enjoy now. Just got to enjoy now, haven't I? Enjoy what I've achieved. And my last sort of fear, if you like, was fear of success. What if I changed everything and I lost weight and I succeeded and I got to the end, and, well, not the end, but the weight loss portion of the journey, and I looked good and I liked how I felt, all of which has happened for me. And I've hit a lower weight than I ever thought I'd hit. I feel good. I thought, well, what then? What then? What will my life be if not completely obsessed with my size and my food and my addiction to food and my dieting? What, had I wasted my life? Had I completely wasted it? Because now I've finally had the success and I never had it before? Could I sustain it? And what would people think of me? Would they judge me? Would they view me differently? And all I can say is, who cares really? I mean, who flipping cares? I think some of this has come with age. I think with menopause, with being in my 50s now, I am in my, oh God, Elsa, calm down and stop caring so much era. It's really hard for me because I am a bit of a people pleaser, but who cares what people think of me? Fundamentally, I've achieved something. It may have taken me to 50 to achieve this, but I've achieved it now. And I feel free. I feel free from the control of food addiction. I feel free from I have to say, I used to feel my body was oppressing me. I felt claustrophobic in my own body at times. I just felt so trapped inside like a massive coat of a person that wasn't me. I don't know if you can relate to that, but I just felt constricted by the weight. And I could only see it getting worse for me as I got older. And so the success I've learned wasn't something to be scared of. It was really just opening the door to a better future, a better me, a more contented me. It was all totally worth it. The whole journey was totally worth it. I mean, none of my fears really came true. Some people have judged me. Some people have made comments. I'm sure some people privately have thought, well, here she goes again. Just wait till she gets fat again. But I can't control what they think. None of us can. And I think it doesn't change. Losing weight or getting control of something, getting control of your health, making changes that are for you, just for you, they make you feel better. But getting to that sort of end point of the weight loss, if you like, and I suppose the beginning of your maintenance journey, it doesn't change who you are. You're still the same person inside. Those fears still exist. You don't suddenly become someone that forgets that they were that big person, that food addicted person. I don't think you ever lose that person. I still feel like Ailsa, who was the fattest one. It sounds horrible talking about myself like that, but that's how I used to see it. I'm still a little bit that person, but it's all been worth it. It's all been worth it. I feel so much better. And I just feel in control for once, and I feel relaxed around food, and that for me has been priceless, really has. So I would say, what's stopping you perhaps making some positive moves? Are some of my stupid fears, relevant to you? Do you understand? Do you feel those too? That fear of relapse, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of your triggers, fear of something physical like your saggy skin or anything? I don't know. Have a think about your fears. Let me know if I can help you. Let me know how I can help, perhaps, or anyone in the community can help. Because ultimately, you know what you want. You know what is going to make you happy. If you are someone that's always pursued weight loss and you are living with being overweight and you don't want to anymore, you know that all of those fears really are lesser than how you're going to feel if you just take a little bit of control of your own health and wellness, because we all feel better when we do that. So I hope that's been a bit helpful. One of the ways I did manage to succeed was by following my own very broad, very me-centered set of rules. And I've got a video which I'm going to link here, which you can watch, which sort of details some of those rules and how they really helped me in shifting that 7 stone over a year and a half. And in the meantime, if you like the video, that'd be great, and maybe consider subscribing. And I hope you're all really well. Look after yourselves, keep putting yourselves first, identify those fears, and, make some positive moves. But stay, stay happy, stay controlled, stay relaxed. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.